sources of information that we truly trust. And that's what I was saying at the beginning of the conversation. The first responsibility that we have is simply to report reality as it is. And I think we have to tune in and to be very precise on the kind of message and how we communicate that message. But I'm not thinking anymore of trying to change people's mind. That's impossible. Just one number, 53% of Republicans still believe today, 2022, that Joe Biden is not the president and that Donald Trump is president of the United States. So I cannot do anything against that.
We were speaking about what is going on in Ukraine, and it's a pretty dramatic thing, but it's only the latest example of how democratic advances are being eradicated in many places of the world. No? And according to a recent report that you shared with me a couple of days ago about the health of democracy, we are back to levels of 1989. Much closer to the US than Russia. We've got countries like Nicaragua. We have many journalists in this room from Nicaragua, but they are not living anymore in Nicaragua or reporting from Nicaragua. We have countries like El Salvador, like Cuba, like Venezuela, and you know very well those countries. What can we do as journalists watching from outside these situations? Do you think, for example, and I'm looking to the US, do you think there is enough reporting in the US of what is going on in a country like Nicaragua? And I just checked before this conversation in a big media outlet that I'm not going to mention, if they have reported anything about Cristiana Chamorro here in English, and there was absolutely nothing about Cristiana Chamorro. No, what can we do?
Talking about Cristiana Chamorro, I think I had the last interview with Cristiana Chamorro before she was arrested in Nicaragua. And the report that you were saying from the VDEM Institute, I think is really interesting. And what we're doing right now, this exercise in freedom, Borja, is not normal. 70% of the people in the world, 70% of the people in the world live in dictatorships or authoritarian regimes. They don't have the freedom that we have to say whatever we want at this moment. And it's been said before, and we can just repeat it. The U.S. usually pays attention to Latin America only whenever their interest is at stake or whenever there's a huge crisis that might affect the way of living. And that is not the case right now with Cuba or Nicaragua. Venezuela, maybe, as you know, there are conversations between the U.S. government and the dictatorship of Nicolás Maduro because of what's happening with the oil prices in Russia and Ukraine. But I think what our responsibility is to make sure, especially if we work in Spanish as El País and Univisión, and many of the journalists that are participating in this conference, it is our responsibility to make sure that we maintain the intensity and the reporting on these countries, because if we don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. Again, censorship is not the same as it was a few decades ago, but unless we talk about Nicaragua and we talk about Cuba and we talk about Venezuela constantly and invite and give voice to those voices that are silent in those countries, no one is going to be paying attention to that. And to insist over and over again that in the case of Nicaragua and Venezuela and Cuba, that we are talking about dictatorships. Again, thanks to technology, they're getting their information in different ways. But we have to insist that they are dictatorships and that they don't have the freedoms that we enjoy.
Yeah, and I would add